Tisha B'Av is the fast which marks the destruction of both the first and the second temple, and the whole series of disasters which have taken place in Jewish history all over Europe, culminating in the Shoah, and this year, for the first time, there will be a new Kinnah for the 7th of October. But in Rosenfeld's Kinnot, which most of us in England use, and many of us here in Israel do as well, there are two Kinnot that deal with the massacre, or more accurately, the mass suicide of the Jews of York on Shabbat Hagadol 1190, 16th of March. There had been a lot of anti-Jewish disturbance following the coronation of Richard I in September 1189. And eventually the disturbances moved up the east side of England and got to York. In York, there was a mob that was being egged on by two people. One was a Catholic priest, because Easter was approaching, and one was a local nobleman called Richard Malbis, who was very heavily indebted to the Jews. The mob began to attack the Jews in their homes, slaughter some of them, so the Jews went and took shelter in a wooden tower in York Castle, on the site of what today we call Clifford's Tower. But the mob ranted in Anglo-Saxon, and the Jews spoke Norman French, and there must have been a great deal of incomprehension. And eventually, at the urging of their rabbi, a man called Rabbi Yom Tov of Wanyi, who was a major figure in the Jewish world, they committed mass suicide. The only other mass suicide that I can think of is the Jews who were on Masada when the Romans attacked them. It was a major disaster, not just for the Jews of England, but for the Jews of Europe. And Rosenfeld contains two Kinnot, one of which was written by a man called Joseph of Chartres. That is very, very vivid, because he mentions 7 people who died in York and whom he very obviously knew. It reverberated all over the Jewish communities of Europe, and it is only fitting that as Jews in England, or English Jews here in Israel, we should remember this disaster, and we should on Yom Kippur recite the Kinnah that tells of York. I said that Tisha B'Av marks so many disasters for Jewish history. The destruction of the Second Temple marked the end of our independence as a nation. For 2,000 years, we were not in our own home, and we were not our own people. We were guests of somebody. And the amazing thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that our generation has been the one that has been privileged to see the emergence of the State of Israel and Jewish independence once again. Times are not easy, but I believe that this in the end will pass, and I look forward to us all having a future of health, happiness, and fulfillment as Jews. I wish you all an easy fast.